Here is the Pacific 10 Conference Football Media Guide for the coming season. And here, behind the camera one more time, is Don Ruiz of the Tacoma News-Tribune and the Huskies Insider blog. The start of Pac-10 football is just about a week away. The Oregon State Beavers and Stanford Cardinal meet in the first league game a week from Thursday. And so I figured we could take a quick look at the Pac-10 media guides. I've always thought that they're what the teams put on their covers is a good indication of what they think of the coming season, what they're proud of, where they're trying to direct people's attention. I did an in-depth look at the Washington Huskies media guide earlier, so I'll leave them out of this video. But if you want to see that one, just scroll down on the blog a little bit. However, there is, as you may have noticed, a Washington Husky here. The Pac-10 overall, the league media guide has one player from each team, and not surprisingly, they went with Jake Locker, quarterback of the Washington Huskies. Looking at the individual guides, here we'll start across the Cascade Mountains with Washington State. Cougar football, naturally the big news in Cougar football this year was the hiring of a new head coach, Paul Wolf, and they went ahead, not surprisingly, and put him on the cover with some of his new team. There is, of course, another new coach in the Pac-10 this year, and that is Rick Neuheisel. Here is, for some reason, a blurry cover of the Bruins press guide, but this Rick Neuheisel does not appear on this press guide. It's a team shot. There it is. And they have the Rose Bowl prominently displayed. That, of course, is their home field, but it's also their goal. And, of course, Husky fans will remember that Rick Neuheisel is the last coach to take the Huskies to a Rose Bowl. And given that, you might wonder, where is Rick? You don't have to look too far. Flip over to page 2, and there is Rick Neuheisel with the Rose Bowl background. Moving across L.A. to Southern California Trojans. The Trojans, of course, never lack for star power to put on their cover. What they came up with this year, I think, is probably the best looking of the Pac-10 covers. I think this is a terrific looking media guide put out by USC. Moving up to the northwest, here is the Oregon State Beavers. They have the Keep It Fierce slogan this year, and they lost a lot of starters. They're trying to rebuild, and the Keep It Fierce slogan tries to imply that there's not going to be any down this year. It'll be interesting, actually, to see Thursday how much, if any, down there is. A lot of writers are picking Oregon State surprisingly high, and it'll be fascinating to see what this team looks like this season. Speaking of what they look like, I received a press release a little bit before training camp that the Beavers are going to more conventional, traditional uniforms this season. Unfortunately, they did not arrive apparently in time for this cover shot, so these relatively unfortunately striped uniforms that they wore last season will be immortalized on the pages of the media guide, if not on the actual football field this season. Naturally, no discussion of goofy uniforms would be complete without going a little farther down I-5. Here's the Oregon Ducks showing a couple of the many uniforms that they wore last year, and also in the background, Watson Stadium, which will, of course, be the scene of their home opener on August 30th against the Washington Huskies. Moving down to the desert, here's Arizona State's cover, and they kept things pretty basic. They went with the star power of head coach Dennis Erickson and senior quarterback Rudy Carpenter, who a lot of people think this season might be the #1 candidate for Pac-10 Player of the Year. Continuing east on I-10, the Arizona Wildcats also kept things pretty basic. They have their stadium in the background, and prominently up front is their senior quarterback, Willie Tuitama. Moving finally to the Bay Area, here is the other team that will be playing Thursday, the Stanford Cardinal. Stanford coach Jim Harbaugh may have been the only coach at Pac-10 Media Day who actually brought up the topic of his media guide cover. He is stressing that this is going to be a big, tough Stanford team with a basic, grinded out kind of mindset, and he bragged on the fact that they included some of those big offensive linemen on their cover of their media guide. However, you look at the back of their media guide, and there is one little error. As you can see, that home game, the first one, or their first game, is against Oregon State. But when you look next to it, they have the logo of the Oregon Ducks, and then they doubled it by going down to that Oregon game with the logo of the Beavers. We will conclude our tour of the press guides in a pretty appropriate spot, University of California. It's appropriate because this is also where the Washington Huskies will conclude their season. The Bears went with their beautiful stadium as their cover image. Facility is always a big deal at Cal. And naturally, this picture was taken on a beautiful sunshiny day. It might look very different when the Washington Huskies play there. That game will take place 2 weeks after the Apple Cup, December 7th. Could be a lot colder, could be a lot windier, but no excuses. That could be a very, very big game for both teams.